It's Elite POV, coming live to your area on twitch.tv.
Let's fucking go!
We are your number one place for everything in the world of all elite wrestling. And just remember, when you're with us, you'll always be elite.
Yo, it's clear to see when you open up your feed that ain't nobody better than Elite POV. We bring the heat to your screen every week, cause ain't nobody better than Elite POV. So understand every time that we speak that ain't nobody better than Elite POV. Our 3 letters is all you'll ever need, cause ain't nobody better than Elite POV.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Elite POV, where it's podcast time, and you know what that means. It is Thursday night, a little bit early tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, but that's okay. Kyle and Jacky back again this week, guys. Obviously, if you guys knew a couple weeks ago, Ant is taking a sabbatical from the podcast, dealing with life stuff, and also Phil is indisposed as well. So me and Jacky are holding down the fort here in Elite POV here to talk everything AEW, your number one fan podcast out there with news and discussions. But thank you guys all for tuning in today. And thank you. Oh, there you go. Space Toaster. Thank you for subscribing on Twitch. That's right. Yeah. Any audio listeners, we are live on twitch.tv/ElitePOV every single Thursday night to talk about AEW, All Elite Wrestling. We got a lot to talk about today. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
I'm joined by you.
A lot of fun announcements.
The draw. The
one and only.
Jacky R. How's it going, Jacky?
I feel like I'm going to get a new nickname every month.
Well, yeah, I guess. You have the draw. You have 6-star. Or Jacky. I was going to say FTR. It's 6-star Jacky R.
6-star Jacky R. The draw. I mean, they're nicknames that I didn't ask for, but they stick. They're fun, and yeah. But 2-person crew, as we've discovered since last week, feels a little different, but we're gonna roll with it. We're holding down the fort, and yeah,
we've done it before.
It's gonna be it might be like this for a little bit, but we thank you for sticking with us, and while we pivot and adjust.
Pivot.
Little Friends reference there.
Love it. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
The cookie section.
Yeah, I see that in the chat.
The cookie section. Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know, that is Spanish. I think Spanish, right?
Yeah, it's a little frog in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Okay, the little frog. That's what Jacky is.
Puerto Rico. Yes.
Puerto Rico. Oh, look at that R roll. Now look at those.
Yeah, my R rolls are trash. Don't even go by me.
Anyway, so we're going to touch a little bit on some news, and we're going to talk about Dynamite, obviously, and preview Rampage for this week. Rampage actually looks like a really cool show. Can't wait to talk about that. But
which I'll be missing for good reason.
Yeah, and then I know we'll get into that. But next week is Road Rager. That's also a pack show. So let's talk about the first bit of news. It's good news in a sense. So CM Punk does go under a successful foot or ankle injury? I think it was a foot. I don't know if it was his foot or an ankle. Is that region?
His foot. They said it was fractured in 4 different places. I think again, it's every time you blink in wrestling news, it's a different report. But somewhere, yes, in that region, he was pretty banged up. So JR on commentary yesterday made sure to say it more than once. He went under very successful surgery. So we always love to hear reports like that. It was devastating news that he was injured in the first place. We wish him a speedy recovery. No projections as of yet as to how long he'll be out for. But, the only thing that we can hope for is that he takes the time necessary to recover however long that is. And when he gets back, he will be brand new and ready to compete.
Yeah, technically, or not technically, I guess the average time for average recovery time for his injury is between 3 to 5 months. So who knows? No, sometimes wrestlers like to just get better within like a couple of weeks. It's nuts. I know I'm not saying Punk's going to be better in a few weeks, which would be hilarious. But no, we wish him a full recovery and wish him well in his recovery journey now. But yeah, I can't wait. And it looks like now they're the way they did it. So now like Punk's not stripped of the title. He is still going to be the champion. They're going to have an intern champion, and when he comes back, they're going to have a unification match. I've seen mixed reactions to this. Really, to me, it doesn't really bother me like it does a lot of people. A lot of people let, the piss go into their cornflakes when it has to do with stuff like this. So, hey.
Such a funny saying, freaking piss in your cornflakes.
Yeah, just imagine that. They're as grumpy as someone would be if someone pissed in your cornflakes. You know what I mean? If someone took a big pee in your cornflakes in the morning, that was your breakfast cereal, you'd be pissed, right? You'd be angry. And like no right, like there's no right or like there's no changing your mind. That's why I say the piss in the cornflakes thing. So there's people out there that don't like this intern champion thing, and that's fine if you don't like it, but don't go out there and use Twitter as your cesspool. Keep it to yourself. But I'm fine with it. I'm more than okay. It doesn't bother me. I'm waking up the next day not pissed off. And then, they're doing like a little bit of a mini tournament for it, right? Which I'll kind of get into. I got some things to talk about with Dynamite and how they've started the process of crowning an intern champion.
Yeah.
Which it's constructive criticism. It's not, I'm not going to sit here and tear AW apart and say I'm not watching anymore. But yeah, Jacky, like, what are your, like, what's your opinion on the intern, like this whole situation of them with the direction they went?
Find the idea of the interim champion, especially for the fact that Punk literally just won. It's like he had to take a step back the same week that he won. I can understand if he was, like he was already into his reign and he had an injury, and then it was like, okay, you're going to have to take a step back. He already, had some defenses under his belt and whatnot. Okay. If he had to relinquish, he already had a run, let him take a step back. It's no secret Tony Khan is very high on CM Punk. I can see why he's going to look at it from the perspective of, I want Punk to kind of go out with some dignity and whatnot. I have no personal problem with him taking a step back, holding on to the championship, and then when he is ready to come back strong and taking his spot back potentially. We kind of go under the assumption that when he does get back, whoever he does face, whoever the interim champion is, he's going to win against, but that's not necessarily a guarantee either. We like to pretend that we know everything. I think after last night's battle royal and all the assumptions that we had of who would be the winner there, which we'll get into, I think it goes to show we don't always know everything and we don't always know a formula. So who's to say that Punk gets back and he doesn't win? Like, he doesn't take his title back. Who the hell knows? A lot can change in the span of however many months between now and Punk getting back and stuff like that. I think it's fair to give Punk the shot, to really get the reign that he was meant to have. So, interim champion, they've done interim champions for other situations that were, had less reason to have interim champions for. So why the hell not?
Yeah. And I see like a lot of people that armchair book like we do. Like I see like even Ascend in chat here saying, what am I, like a King of the Ring tournament? I think this is fine for the time alluded they have. We have to think, guys, like this came out of nowhere. And the title pretty much before CM Punk got the results for his injury, the title was pretty much booked for Forbidden Door 3 weeks from now. So, like, for them to have to, like, rebook this in the short amount of time that they needed to, I think it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think they did a perfect job to create 2 title eliminator matches in 2 different companies. They're even doing, I know it's kind of, I know a lot of it screams, like, There's a lot of obvious booking, which I'll get into as well. Like, we see the New Japan side where it's Gato against Tanahashi, and I'm like, okay, Tanahashi's still going to Forbidden Door. Why didn't they just... I sat there and like, they could have not done an eliminator for New Japan. They could have just kept Tanahashi in Forbidden Door in the finals. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't really need to do that, but I still give them credit to try to do something with the circumstances of having only 3 weeks to do stuff. And, you know, I'm fine with it. So we're going to have an intern champion. And look, obviously, Tony Khan had a big notebook, probably the size of this notebook or like a couple of them, that of what CM Punk was going to do all summer and like all the booking he had planned. All that's out the window now. So we're going to have an intern champion that's going to... Nate, thank you for gifting a sub in the chat. And to Astrid, who Jacky was just on her podcast. So check that out, guys. I think we retweeted a bunch of times on the Elite POV Twitter. So
it'll be on Saturday.
There you go. So with an interim champion, you're going to get a lot of opportunities here to... I want to say it's going to give a lot of opportunities to showcase the other belts in the meantime while the intern champion is just doing stuff on the go. Like Tony Khan's probably had to rewrite a whole book for the summer about how this intern championship is going to go. And I don't think it's going to be any long-term story with Jon Moxley. I think it's going to be a couple of short feuds here and there until Punk is ready to go. Because if it's like a 3 to 5 month recovery period, I think you're only doing a little mini feuds here and there, like a 3 to 4, maybe to 5 week feuds. You know, and this also helps because I know it's got to be Moxley. I can't see them putting the belt on Tanahashi and him not appearing there with the world championship. But at the same time, it could go. He could take that belt to Japan, and you know, it's going to create more exposure for the world title on another company's. You know, get people to watch over there or something like that. I can see them doing that, but I don't think they're going to. I think Moxley is going to be that interim champion because we said it for weeks, for months. Every time that we talk about Jon Moxley, we're like, man, this guy just screams world champion when he comes out. He's going to get a little bit of an opportunity now to hold on and carry the company on his back. Thank you, Frankie Bebop, for gifting another sub in the Twitch chat. Appreciate that. But we're going to have another opportunity for Moxley to carry the company on his back with the world title and have these like
with the crowd.
With a crowd.
He did it so long in the pandemic era with no crowd.
Exactly.
So it gives him a chance to kind of experience that full championship run with the crowd, and he's been producing these banger matches. So even if it's not long-term storytelling, you know that he is capable of giving us these great matches, even if there is no context to it and no feuds necessarily. You know he's going to deliver.
You know what it also does? It helps the BCC a little bit more too, because he's representing the Blackpool Combat Club, and you know they do eventually do a little tension between Moxley and Danielson, right? Maybe they have a one-off match for the world title against each other. That could be a really banger of a match on a Dynamite, right? Or if they do it at Battle of the Belts, because there's Battle of the Belts in the beginning of August. But then you also think about long-term. When Punk gets back, a Jon Moxley versus CM Punk for for a unified title, for the unification match, that's your big main event. That's a massive main event between those two. So I think what they're doing is smart. I applaud Tony Khan for what he did with the way he's booking this, and it's, you know, I'm fine with Moxley winning and becoming the intern champion. So, speaking of championships, so you guys see the thumbnail for our episode if you've seen it on Twitter. AEW's added another championship to their repertoire. I don't know what the word I'm going to use for that. But the All-Atlantic Championship has been added. The AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Okay. So I have a few things to say.
Should I brace myself?
No. First of all, I saw a 10 out of 10 tweet by Adam Nemedy when this title was announced. He's like, thank God AEW saved themselves for calling it All Atlantic instead of because it would have been something like mid. You know what I mean? They saved themselves from calling it mid.
Mm-hmm.
So like a championship is considered like, you know, they saved themselves from considering a championship mid because Mid-Atlantic was a big wrestling championship back in the day, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It was...
Yeah.
I got it at the time when I read it, and I had a good laugh. But anyways, not sure. I don't know if I understand or agree with All Atlantic Championship. I kind of feel that they could have went and called it the International Championship, because Mid-Atlantic in a way doesn't make sense for some of the countries that will be represented because they do not touch the Atlantic Ocean. You think about it. Japan does not touch the Atlantic Ocean. Why is there a Japan flag on the title belt?
Yeah, it's more towards the Pacific, yes.
I'm just sitting there going like, what? I don't know.
Because geography.
All Atlantic. I'm like, oh, but what if like there's a country that doesn't touch the Atlantic Ocean? Like, oh, what?
Yeah.
They could have saved themselves by calling it the international title. Because internationally, anyone could win it. I don't know. I was just like, oh, that's that might be a title they might rename down the line. So
yeah.
Whoever the belt designer is, keep the template handy, because they might be coming to you and going, oh, we kind of need you to do something. I don't know. Besides that, the title looks good. I thought it looked beautiful.
I think it's a handsome looking title.
Yeah, they definitely went based off the women's world title, the new one. There's a lot of similarities, which like, I saw people again pissing their cornflakes over it looking like the women's title. Who cares? Why does that bother you? Anyways, I'm just curious with this belt. I understand both sides of the fence, Jackie. And I'm going to ask what your opinion is here in a second. I understand both sides of the fence when it comes to, yes, there's too many titles because it kind of like dilutes some of the other titles, and there's no really explanation of if you're taking the I was going to call it the international title, the All Atlantic title, and you got the TNT title. What's different about the two?
I mean, I guess the whole point of the TV title is that you're representative of the brand.
But both titles don't even appear on the right networks. TBS appears on Rampage, and the TNT title's more on Dynamite, which is on TBS.
I know. I'm saying the logic of the difference between the two individual titles, not necessarily where they appear. Yeah, I mean, it's a question that we're going to need to be answered. I know that there's the argument about oversaturation of titles. As of right now, there are 3 singles men's titles, which theoretically, with a roster that's as loaded as AEW's roster is, on paper doesn't feel like a lot.
No, there
are 2 shows. If you include Dark, there's more than that. You try to think about the hours of TV that are on. So I don't think it's necessarily oversaturated. It could work depending on how they book it. But yeah, they're going to have to do a little bit of legwork to kind of distinguish what's going to be the distinguishing factors between the 2 titles.
I have faith that they're going to. Like, I really think that they're like, everyone's kind of jumping the gun. It's only been 1 day since they have announced the title belt, guys. Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Ascended says 4 if you count the FTW, but who does? I totally agree. I don't.
Okay, so yeah, and I saw I'm not gonna say his name because he doesn't deserve credit. The goofball that we all know that I tweeted out today that likes to tweet out his nice hot takes once in a while. My dude, man. No, you got it all wrong with that post, man. You included titles that aren't even in the company. And I hate when people are making this assumption that they're saying, oh, they have too many titles, and then they list off the titles, and they're listing off the FTW belt. They're listing off the Ring of Honor belts, which, FYI, everybody, the Ring of Honor belts are not AEW sanctioned title belts. If you go back and you listen to Tony Khan when he said when he purchased Ring of Honor, he signed his name on the contract. It wasn't AEW purchasing Ring of Honor. If AEW was purchasing Ring of Honor, sure, those belts would be sanctioned AEW belts. Because Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, those are not AEW sanctioned belts. They're just appearing on the TV. And they're being defended once in a while, just so they can have some credibility for when they start their TV show. Because as soon as the TV show starts, You're not going to see them on AEW TV anymore. They're gone. There's no Ring of Honor world title match. There's no pure title match. There's no women's title match for the Ring of Honor belts on Dynamite or Rampage once that TV show gets going. Then this guy, this buffoon, decides to include the AAA belt. I'm like, what the you're reaching, my dude. You're putting the AAA belt in there. You're reaching really hard for that one. Then he puts like the Owen belts. I'm like, those aren't titles. They're basically trophies in title shape.
People pull muscles on the regular with how much they're reaching on.
It's
for
a
some
trophy.
Of these takes.
Adam Cole's just proud to be called like winning the Owen tournament. He's carrying it around like a trophy. He's not going to defend it against Hangman Adam Page next week. Can we all just chill? Like everyone's acting like AEW's got more belts than the WWE. WWE's got a problem with belts. You want to criticize a company for belts, or even New Japan? Man, New Japan's got a lot of freaking belts. AEW legitly. So if we count them by hand, we're gonna count them all together now, guys. We get the world titles, both women and men's. Right, with the 2 TV titles, both women and men's. That's 4.
Okay, yeah, that's
right?
4.
Then we have the tag titles, which is 5. And now we have the Mid-Atlantic belt, which is 6. 6 sanctioned AEW titles. Sanctioned. So let's all reach into our cabinet, take out that little pill bottle right there at the top that you don't usually use a lot. It says chill pill on it. Take one out. Get a little glass of water, maybe some filtered water, whatever's your preference. Gulp it down. Sit your ass on the couch and relax. My lord. Anyways. Beautiful looking belt. Still going to say it, but again, the name weirded me out. I'm like, All Atlantic. Did we really think this one through? Especially when you included a Japan flag on the belt.
Yeah. But speaking of, all the international flair around it, we got this cool little bracket with all the competitors representing different countries.
That was cool.
So in the opening bracket, which we did get the first match last night, we got Buddy Matthews representing Australia versus Pac from the United Kingdom. Then we got Ethan Page representing your home stomping grounds of Canada.
Yeah, let's go.
Miro from Bulgaria. We got Penta from Mexico versus Malachi from the Netherlands. And we have 2 to be determined competitors from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So.
Yeah. That was cool. I like how they did the whole country flag thing to represent. And then it's going to basically be a fatal 4-way match at Forbidden Door for the title belt. So I'm excited. We'll see. Let's all just, bottom line, let's all have patience, guys. It's literally been 1 day since the belt's been introduced. I'm sure things will get cleared up, and I'm sure we're going to get more explanations. I bet you guaranteed tomorrow on Rampage we get a little bit more explanation. Guaranteed. Calling it right now. But anyways, we're going to move into AEW Dynamite, which was last night. Very interesting episode of AEW Dynamite last night. We had the Casino Battle Royal happening. We had Buddy versus Pac. We had Hangman versus David Finlay. Thunder Rosa against Marina Shafir in a world title match that got put together literally 2 hours before the show. And Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly in a main event match, which O'Reilly won the Casino Battle Royal. Now, I got to tell you about this Battle Royal. I'm not a fan of them anymore. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like every time they have this Battle Royal, it's like we've had this Battle Royal how many times, and why does it feel like a clusterfuck every time we do it? Like I don't like the aspect of them all coming out like that the way they do. And there's no it just seems like it's an unorganized mess. And then the one point in the match where they had the countdown on the Titantron and it went off and then no one came out, and then they had it again like 2 minutes later. I'm like, what's going on here?
So I don't know if I'm just imagining things. It almost seemed like they were really focused on the elimination that was happening, and they were like, oh no, wait, stop the countdown, because we want to keep the camera focused on this elimination that's happening. And then once the elimination happened, they went back to the countdown as if it never happened. It was very bizarre. I feel like those Casino Battle Royals should be solely for pay-per-view and not for TV, because anytime the commercial breaks get involved, anytime that there's like that kind of TV production involved with it, it feels very disruptive and it just kind of messes with the flow
Yeah.
overall. But I agree, it does get a little bit convoluted in a sense. I like the casino battle royal, but this one felt a little bit odd.
It needs to be kept on pay per view. You're right there. It needs to be kept on pay per view because it gets you enough alluded time. I'd rather have them do the concept kind of similar to the Royal Rumble because it's already like a similar concept, right? When they use a casino battle royal, the winner gets a title shot, right? I know in this case they didn't, but usually a casino battle royal was the winner would get a world title shot. Now, I'm fine with the suits and everything, but I don't think they should all come out one after the other. I like if you wanted to do by suits, but have 30-second intervals. You know what I mean? Have them come out 30 seconds, then the next diamond comes out 30 seconds. You have the match graphic on the screen. It says, we're still in the diamonds. Here's, the second person in the diamonds, like number 2 out of the diamonds. Then here comes number 3 out of the diamonds every 30 seconds. It seems a little bit too chaotic when they're all together. Sometimes the people are not even done with their entrance and they're still coming out. I know it's more or less, or it's a little bit more organized than the very first one. The very first one, they were all coming out of the tunnel at the same time and it was just a mess. But I know I want them to slow it down a little bit and do like a 30-second interval in between each person. You don't have to put the countdown on. I'm just saying wait 30 seconds and then the next one comes out.
Yeah, and it's weird how some of them come out singles and some of them come out as tag teams. Some of them come out as like triples. Like you had Max Caster and the Gun Club come out together, but then you had like it just I don't know. It felt a little odd. But let me tell you, when it got to the final 4, I could not have imagined that's how that's
Right.
how it was going to end.
I kind of almost felt like they should have just done a fatal 4-way because the rest of the people in there, don't worry, I got it. The rest of the people in there,
yeah, beat me to it.
I know there's a lot of people. If anyone, the audio listeners, were banning a bot in the chat.
We're dropping the ban hammer.
But I know I saw like the argument that people were saying, why wasn't this person in the battle royal there? They should deserve a world title shot. And most of those people that they were saying are involved in the now involved in the All Atlantic title tournament. So I understand why they weren't put in the battle royal to lose and then have to go into that tournament. Sure. But at the same time, I don't know. I felt weird. I felt like I'm reading everyone's comments and I kind of agreeing with a lot of them saying like maybe they should have just done like a fatal 4-way, picked like 4 people and done like an elimination fatal 4-way. And I know a lot of people were saying like Andrade should have been picked for Mox. Take this with a grain of salt. I had so this is not even from Insider Kimmy. I got this from another insider. Don't know how exactly true this is. But if anyone's heard of this and has heard this from the past, let us know. So apparently Andrade did not win because he would have been represented in a... I know it's still... The Battle Royal is technically still represented in a New Japan match, but it had something to do with the relationship between New Japan and AAA and CMLL. Something's happening there that caused Andrade not to win the match, which is extreme. I got told this and I'm like, that just is like the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Why does that affect Andrade?
I don't know. But then like, let me pose this question to you. Assuming that statement is valid and correct, wouldn't it make some kind of sense to then take Penta out of the All Atlantic tournament, throw him into the Battle Royal, and put Andrade in the All Atlantic tournament to represent Mexico?
That's still a New Japan thing, though, because the winner goes to Forbidden Door.
But it's still an AEW-based pay-per-view. I don't know.
But it's a joint with New Japan. Yeah, it's a weird thing I got told. I'm like, what? I was like, okay, sure. I just went with it and said, okay. But either way, I know I saw a lot of people saying Andrade should have won. And in reality, not taking what I just heard, if we took what I just heard out of it, yeah, it probably should have been Andrade because Kyle O'Reilly winning, a tag team wrestler winning, kind of made it more like we knew that Moxley, if it was Andrade, I think I still would have thought it was going to be Moxley. I didn't think it was going to be Andrade. But it just made the main event more what's the word I'm looking for? It just made it more. God, why am I blanking on the word? Jacky, help me out. Obvious. It made it more
I was
obvious.
gonna say,
Sorry.
I wish I could have helped you.
It made it more obvious. And it's just like, oh, so like I know, like it just, I don't know. I think they could have had a better winner that battle royal. You could see it in the crowd too. The crowd was kind of like, It's like, why did we just have all that? Obvious, yeah. Thank you, Adam. But I don't know. I love my boy Kyle O'Reilly, but they could have gone with, even if it wasn't Andrade, there's a few other people in that match. I'm like, that could be a good main event match with Moxley. Like I picked, I had Takeshita in my mind. That would have been something. It would have been cool maybe if Wheeler Yuta did it. And then they even said it on commentary. Like when Regal was on commentary for the
main event.
I think, didn't he mention something? What if Yuta did win? I think they mentioned something about Yuta that he would have welcomed it. It would have just been like, yeah, it would have been a chance for Yuta to prove himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, when they got to the final four, like I went through everybody in my head. I was like, ooh. First, my first thought was Andrade. I'm like, okay, it's got to be him. And then I'm like, okay, no, but Wheeler Yuta. Oh, but Phoenix. Kyle O'Reilly was my last choice. And I hate to be that person because I'm like, I try to respect the hell out of everybody that steps in the ring. You know, Kyle O'Reilly is, like, he's not a bad wrestler. It's not that I'm not trying to like take anything away from him. Obviously, reflecting upon the main event, him and Moxley had a good match. It was intense. There was a lot of like, it wasn't a bad match. It was just like you said, it took even more predictability into the match. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a bizarre finish.
They ended up having a really good main event. Like regardless of the outcome of the battle royal, Kyle O'Reilly and Jon Moxley had a fantastic main event.
They did.
Very, very good match. I was impressed with it. And now Moxley's going to Forbidden Door to take on, I know it's either Gato or Tanahashi, but it's going to be Tanahashi. Like Moxley's going to get his wish. He's been asking for Tanahashi for like over a year. He's going to get his wish. He's going to face Tanahashi at Forbidden Door for the interim title. He's going to win that interim title. It's just going to be an amazing match. I cannot wait for that at Forbidden Door. I cannot wait for it to be there live. It's going to be amazing. It's already shaped up to be a really insane pay-per-view. And speaking of Forbidden Door, Jacky, and New Japan, I guess, in general, we had someone appear from New Japan Pro Wrestling at Dynamite last night, and it involved ya boys, FTR.
That we did.
And Trent. So Trent, without his best friends, that was cool. I didn't know it was National Best Friends Day yesterday. I had no idea until Trent said that. And then
I'm gonna expect my belated present in the mail. All right.
Okay,
dude.
Sure. 100%.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's it's over there somewhere.
Yeah, yours is in the mail too. It just got lost.
Yeah, gotcha. But anyways, he says that him and Roppongi Vice deserve another shot. Those Ring of Honor tag team belts. Out Cubs FTR. And they more than willing to fight. I mean, it's God. I don't want to. They shouldn't be in this position, FTR. They should be battling for those tag team belts next week.
Don't even get me started. I'll go on a freaking rampage. And I don't mean the Friday night show.
Their post today, or Dax's post today, was hilarious, but also sad at the same time. Where he posted the rankings every day from April 27th until now, where it had FTR as number 1 in the rankings, and they didn't receive a tag team title shot. No matter if there was a feud going on, because there were some weeks where there was nothing going on with FTR. What the hell? Why didn't they do anything? The feud, this triple threat feud, now they're having another, like the Bucks and Matt Hardy are having, and the Hardys are having another rematch, but now it's including Jurassic Express in a ladder match that, quite frankly, I don't think anyone really wants. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, yeah, sick. Guys, It's cool. The Young Bucks in a ladder match right now, good. Hardy's in a ladder match right now, not so good. Okay, Jeff Hardy just got done recovering from his last ladder match that happened literally a month ago against Darby. And he almost didn't recover from that. He was hurt for the pay-per-view because of that ladder match. Why are we putting Jeff Hardy back in another ladder match so soon? Oh, I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. And I heard an absolutely horrible insider, Kimmy.
God.
I hate you. She told me something about next week's match, and it drove me up the wall.
No, don't. Well, she's wrong like 90% of the time anyway. But
yeah, we'll discuss it on our K2 Observer, and I'll go on a rant there.
You can go. Yeah, you can.
But
FTR.
Have so
many feelings.
Let's go back here. FTR calling out the people that jumped them. United Empire guys that jumped them. The Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb?
Jeff Cobb, yes.
And then the United Empire music starts, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, so they're here and they're going to do something, right? But what appears on the Titantron? Who comes out? Will fucking Ospreay comes out. I'm like, oh! Was not expecting that. I know, like, after, like, Dax, it was perfect timing because Dax called him the Will Ospreay's bitch boys. And then his music started. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. And I'm okay, so now they're going to come out because they were calling them bitch boys. But no, Will Ospreay himself comes out, which popped the shit out of me. Because I'm a big Will Ospreay guy. If anyone knows, huge fan of his work. And then, he does a whole, like, the key unlocking the Forbidden Door thing, which is cool. But then his boys from United Empire, Aussie Open, and I forget the other guy's name, jumped FTR and Trent from behind in the ring. And then there's a big beatdown. And then they left them hanging in the ring. And then now we're getting that Rampage match. We're getting Trent and FTR against United Empire. And I'm like, oh, that's a Rampage match. That's a match you want to tune into Rampage for right there. Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll have to, depending what time I get back, I'll have to watch the replay on that one.
Yeah, Aaron Henner.
That's going to be one that you're going to have to like throw me a little bit of an education or something like that on that, because honestly, I don't know much about that side of things with Aussie Open. And obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, that has any type of knowledge with AEW, you kind of have a little bit of knowledge with New Japan. Unless you're living under a rock, you know who the hell Will Ospreay is. So I know, like, the fans, like when they panned out to the audience, there were people losing their absolute freaking minds. There was like people like pulling their hair out the minute Will Ospreay's music hit and he came out. So you could see it's a huge deal. So I'm looking forward to seeing that match on Rampage for sure. But yeah, I'll save my rant on the tag team title picture for another day because I have a ton of feelings, a ton of feelings on that. Yeah. But yeah. That's going to be like, if this is what they're going to have to do in the interim, if this is going to lead to a match at Forbidden Door for them, great. But yeah, number one contenders, longest reigning number one contenders in the freaking history of the company. But I digress. We can move on.
Yeah. So from the clips I've seen, they're great. Aussie Open. For anyone that hasn't seen Will Ospreay wrestle, get ready because he is absolutely incredible. And I hope this isn't the last time that just because of Forbidden Door he appears on Dynamite. I want him to come and do some more stuff here. So we'll see what that happens with him. But also speaking of New Japan, Hangman Page had a match with David Finlay, and which is a banger of a match. Really, really stiff, like New Japan style match. Yeah. And Adam Cole is on commentary, and it was literally the whole match going like, hey, why the hell is Cole on commentary? What is going on here? And then after the match, Heyman got on the mic, calls out, saying like, I'm still championship hungry, but I want to prove myself and want to challenge for more than just the world title here. Calls out Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door. Adam Cole's on commentary for a reason, and it was because of this reason. He had exception to state to that. He says that I've had a better run than you. Because he's basically saying like his name alone means world champion, and he's holding that Owen Hart belt. And basically these two are going to have a match. Looks like, I believe it's next week. I believe. I'm not really sure when they said they're having this match, but it looks like it's going to be Hangman versus Adam Cole, and the winner faces Kazuchika Okada at Forbidden Door for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Like, oh my God.
I mean, Cole, first of all, like Cole basically called Hangman a loser without calling him a damn loser. I mean, he also hinted at the fact that he's like, you're calling out Okada as being the champion. We don't even know if Okada's going to be the champion.
That's right. He's defending his
Forbidden
belt.
Door, rolls around. He's like
defending his belt against Will Ospreay.
Jay White,
or no, Jay White. Sorry, Jay White.
He's like, you could be facing Jay White, for all intents and purposes. But he's like, you're walking out here like you have any rights to be challenging anybody. He's like, you lost. I'm over here like, all I do is win. I got this shiny new trophy, and I'm like. It's classic Adam Cole. It's like the snarkiness of it. But I got to say, Hangman, for coming off of his title loss, looked like he didn't skip a beat. He's out there. He even took a sip of somebody's beer, for the first time in a while. It made that girl's day. She looked like she was having the
She drank it right after.
Life. She was like, what a lucky break. Like, I want to sit ringside and have Hangman drink my beer. But no, that match was really good. That was the first match that I've ever seen from David Finlay. It was a really good, solid match. I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's weird seeing our cowboy without the heavyweight championship. But and he did point out the fact that he's like, I guess I wasn't invited to the championship battle royal, but here we are. So it'll be interesting to see where this is going to go. But
right.
In my book, I would love to see Hangman be the one to challenge for if we get Hangman versus Okada, please inject that into my veins. Let's go.
I'll be alive to inject it, so that'll be all right. But yeah, and then hey, what big swerve here? I mean, the match could still happen without a title. Like, what if Adam Cole wins? And then Jay White wins, and then Adam Cole's forced to face his good friend Jay White for the belt at Forbidden Door, which would be insane, and create some storyline there. And then Heyman's like, I still want a piece of Okada without the belt, with or without the belt. That would also be cool, but it looks like for sure it's going towards Hangman versus Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight title, which is going to be an insane match. Which was another insane match was Buddy Matthews and Pac. I think this was, and when it was announced, people were just like me. People were going nuts for this match being announced, which is insane. Again, this was one of the first matches we didn't know until the show, but one of the first matches of the All Atlantic tournament for that belt. Man, was that ever a good match? Such a good match. Pac and Buddy Matthews can run it back any day of the week, please. It was great, and there was a stipulation that no one knew about. So the losing person in this match actually had to eat a carb after the match. So unfortunately, Buddy Matthews had to go back there and eat a carb. Unfortunately, poor guy. Oof.
Probably for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
They look like they're sculpted out of marble, but the insane thing about them is for being two guys that are so big, muscular guys, they move so aerodynamic. It's just incredible. Pac is the kind of guy that he'll always pull out a move that comes out of nowhere that you're just not expecting. I think he's the unsung hero of the roster. That early on he was always troubled with all these travel issues. So his appearances were always really inconsistent. But I think if he was consistently there, he would by far be one of the top guys on the roster because his performances are just consistently at the top level of the card. He just never has a bad match. Yeah. He's always pulling out just mind blowing what he's able to do in the ring. And for it being Buddy's first singles appearance, I think I don't think he's done anything on Dark, right? So I mean, just
no, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. So for this being his first single showing, it was a hell of a freaking first showing, and it was
he's had another match. I can't tell.
I don't think so. Because I know that we were really chomping at the bit for him to get his first singles match because everything seemed to be tag or trio stuff. But yeah, two really evenly matched guys. It was just it was such an incredible match. It's your eyes are just glued to what they're doing.
Yeah.
But there was a poison Rana that Pac did to freaking Buddy Matthews that just took my breath away. I'm like, everything seems so dangerous, even though you know it's controlled.
Yeah.
But really good, and obviously Pac took the win, and he's going to advance in the tournament. But it's just a hell of a match, and easily by far leaps and bounds match of the night for AEW Dynamite.
Yeah. And then Thunder Rosa and before we get to that, I forgot Wardlow actually had an in-ring promo. This was funny. So I loved this promo because I was actually saying to a couple people that were like, "Oh, why isn't Wardlow in the interim title tournament?" It's like, well, I don't want Wardlow to win the interim title. I want his first world title match to be the real championship match, not an interim title. What's this man do? He comes out and literally says that I don't want to be the first. I don't want my first title win to be an interim championship. I'm gonna wait, and that's why he's like, CM Punk. When you come back and you're 100%, you're 110%. I'll be here waiting for you. So, which was fantastic. And he said he's gonna go after it. In the meantime, he's gonna go after the TNT belt. Perfect. Loved every bit of this promo. But you know what? Even Scorpio Sky came out. But Mr. Smart Mark Sterling, in his legal proceedings, is dealing with the security guards that Wardlow's beat up over the last couple of months.
All 500 of them that he's attacked since his reign of terror.
We're having a handicap match that I don't think I've ever seen before in my entire life. We're having a 20-on-1 handicap match next week. And I'm sitting there going, oh, man. Next week is poor security guards. Poor security guards. I guarantee you guys, I'm calling it right now, and you guys can tweet at me after it happens. Wardlow is going to stack 10 of them on top of each other, or at least 5, maybe 5, between 5 and 10, because I don't know, 10's a lot. Between 5 and 10 of them on top of each other, and it's an elimination match, by the way. It's elimination. He's going to pin between 5 and 10 of them on top of each other, and he's going to pin them all at the same time. I'm calling that right now. It's going to be I'm so interested to see how this goes out. It's going to be interesting. But it looks like Wardlow after though is going to be going towards the TNT belt, that would be a pretty sweet belt for him to hold and to have a good run with. And to be the face of TNT, perfect. Larger than life, athlete, the look, the popularity, perfect guy to be holding that TNT belt. This is nothing against Scorpio Sky, because I also think he's a great TNT champion. But Wardlow, man, he needs a title belt. He really does need a title belt, because my man is a champion. They need to do something with his momentum. All the momentum he's gained with the MJF stuff, they need to do it to keep it up in some way. And I think a TNT championship run would be really cool.
They want to play it like he really is just starting his AEW career, then this makes a logical sense for him to start from the ground up, so to speak, and start with the TNT belt, and build his reign like that. And like you said, if CM Punk is still the champion, he wants to beat the champion.
Right.
So make his reign more meaningful that way. And his time will come. He doesn't need to do everything right now.
Right.
Let him build to it. In the meantime, we did say that we didn't want him to do any more squash matches. So let this be the last, kind of goofy thing he does, and then let him get serious.
We'll quickly talk about this next thing. I mean, I really have nothing else to say to it. I'm gonna let you take the floor with it. I'm just impressed. I'm happy with where it's going after. What we got after this match and a direction it's going into, I'm happy for. I can see a nice feud between those two. But they put a match together within the last 2 hours before the show started and announced that Marina Shafir is going to face Thunder Rosa for her title belt, because Thunder Rosa was on the Control Center, because everyone watches the Control Center, and saying that challenging anyone in the top 5 in the top 5, out of top 5, I don't care. I'm a fighting champion. Someone step up to the plate and face me. And then Marina Shafir, of all people, came in, and poor her comes out to no reaction. I'm not really sold on her. I don't know if there's more to her or not. Not really sold. But Jacky, you take the floor, because I got nothing else to say about this match.
All right. So I don't want to come across as being overly negative, this might come across as somewhat negative, but bear with me on this. Y'all know that when it was Thunder Rosa's time to win this women's championship, I was on at the head of the hype train, very very ready for her to take this because I knew what kind of champion she was capable of being. And I feel as though her championship run has been extremely mishandled. Her matches, when she has been given matches, have proven to be top caliber, especially when given the proper opponents. I think that her match against Serena Deeb at Double or Nothing completely proved that point. It was a stellar match. To me, it was my match of the night. She's capable of stealing the show. And in the time that she's been champion, she's had what, to now 3 title defenses since then.
Yeah.
So leading up to Dynamite, I think maybe a few hours before, I had asked like, well, what was announced for the card? And Phil had asked like, did they even announce a women's match? And at that point, they hadn't even announced anything. And we were like, what the hell? Like nothing at all. That's very odd. And so when they finally announced that they were going to have a women's match, and we're like Marina Shafir, and I was like, okay, well maybe it's just a regular match. And then when I'm like, it's a title defense. Like where the heck did this come from? And I'm like, okay, she's number 5 in the rankings. That's odd that they didn't go with the next person. But again, we know now that the rankings are completely arbitrary. They just pick and choose. It felt like a little like, doing damage control the way that they explained it, where she put the open challenge out there. Okay, again, fine. Marina Shafir, she doesn't do it for me personally. That doesn't mean that she's not good at what she does. That's not for me to say. I don't personally feel emotionally invested in what she brings to the table. The match, it was what it was. At the end of the match, we had, obviously Thunder Rosa went over. And in a true baby faces have no friends fashion, Thunder Rosa's doing her post-match celebration. Marina Shafir attacks her from behind, and Toni Storm comes out and makes the save. And we get the little bit of a hint that maybe Toni Storm might be the next one to challenge for the title. That is a feud that I can personally get invested in, because we know that the two of them are incredibly talented individuals. You know that the crowd can get very much behind Toni Storm. We know that the crowd wants to be very much behind Thunder Rosa. They need to properly handle this feud. We need to get out of the freaking 9:30 time slot. I don't know what the obsession is with this, like 9:30 on the damn dot. It's like it never fails week after week. Like, why can we not get a woman's segment in hour 1? Why can we not do this? Like, please, I'm begging you. I hate being the freaking broken record and sounding like I'm always negative about the women's division. And it's just because I care. And I don't want to sour on it. I don't want people to look at Thunder Rosa and say she was a bad champion. She is not a bad champion. She's been booked badly. And, I think she deserves so much better. She's so damn talented, and if they give her the opportunity, she can run with it. She really can. So I just hope that wherever they take her next, if it is Toni Storm, freaking give them the time to do with this what they absolutely are capable of doing. Just please, like that's all I'm asking.
I don't understand with the 9:30 thing. It really bugs me and irks me that I don't understand the reasoning. And I said this in our live chat when we were watching Dynamite last night. Someone at the next press conference with Tony Khan, please mention it and ask him why he does that. Like, it needs to be asked. Like, why is 9:30? And it's not like he can say, this Dynamite we had. No, there's been no Dynamites where they haven't had the women's match in the same spot between 9 and 9:30. It's always that one. Why can't they be after the first segment? Or why not the opening match? There's no reason as to why. If they want to book a Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm for the women's world title, I'd be okay if I'm opening up Dynamite. It's a fire match, and everyone's going to want to see, and it'd get the crowd's nice and hype for that opening match. That would be awesome. I just don't understand.
They opened the Rampage at one point with the women's tag team match, and it was freaking fire as hell.
Yeah.
and and it got a lot of good critical reception. And I'm like, and I know Rampage is Rampage and Dynamite is Dynamite, but it's like the formula can still be transferred from one show to the other. It can work. And I talked about this, coincidentally enough. Astrid is in the chat. I talked about this on the interview. If you treat it like it's important, the fans will receive it like it's important. If you always treat it like it's an afterthought, guess what? The fans will always treat it like it's an afterthought. So I hope that if one day somebody does bring it up in a media scrum or something like that, I hope that TK does take it with a bit of reverence and doesn't take it as an offense and get all like offended and hurt by it and kind of like brush it off. Just please, like, give it a chance and give it an opportunity to work, because I think that these women are extremely talented and just really deserve the chance to make it into what it's capable of being.
Yeah, you really don't know until you try. So, and we haven't seen a try. But that's Dynamite, guys. It is what it was. Next week's Dynamite looks pretty stacked. We have Road Rager next week. We have Ortiz versus Jericho in a hair versus hair match. I'm extremely intrigued by whose hair is going to be chopped off next week. I think it can go either way, to be honest. We got Hardy's, Bucks, and Jurassic Express in a ladder match for the World Tag Team titles. We have Wardlow versus 20 plaintiffs. That's what they have listed of 20 plaintiffs. That's hilarious. Ethan Page against Miro for the All-Atlantic qualifying match. Yay, we got Miro back on Dynamite. Love to see that. Love to see it. And then Rampage tomorrow night's even stacked as well. We got Red Velvet versus Chris Statlander. Should be a really good women's match. Jake Hager versus Eddie Kingston. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about that match. FTR and Trent versus Ospreay and Aussie Open, which I'll be watching Rampage solely for because I'm a big Will Ospreay mark. And the debut of Satnam Singh with Jay Lethal in action. That's also happening on Rampage. So, interesting week coming up with Dynamite and Rampage on the road to Forbidden Door. Oh, yeah. Freaking Hathaway calling them Kristen Highlander or Kristen Highlander. Yo, I love him. He's so funny. Absolutely love him. Good Morning Lee is usually on Saturday mornings, guys. Not really sure what's going on if we're going to have a show this Saturday, so just stay tuned. If we do decide to do one, we'll tweet it out, so keep an eye on our Twitter. So make sure you're following us on our social media pages. That's Twitter and Instagram at Elite POV. TikTok, Elite POV Clips. Make sure you follow us on all those social media platforms, guys. We're also available on YouTube. Make sure if you go over there, hit the like button, subscribe. And if you're an audio listener, we're available on all your audio platforms for you guys to download the episodes and listen to on the go. Thank you to everyone who does do that. We love you, audio listeners. We have personal social medias you guys can follow. You can follow myself at All Elite Kyle. Jacky over here is at LoveYouMake24. 24? Yes. I always wanted to say it's 26. I don't know why, Jacky, but it's 24, right?
24. Last week you wanted to say 28.
I don't know, 20-something. She's on there.
Get it together.
If you're not following her already, I don't know what's wrong with you. But we also have ways to support the show, guys. We have a Patreon page, patreon.com/ElitePOV. Me and Jacky are actually brainstorming some things to put on there because I know we've been slacking on there. So thank you to all those who still support us. And don't worry, more stuff is on the way. We also have a merch page, ElitePOVmerch.com. A lot of cool looking merchandise on there, folks, for you guys to check out. We also still have the Pride shirts that are still available, I believe, or did we take them down yet?
Yes. No, it's still June.
It's still June.
It is still beginning of Pride Month, so all June.
There you go, guys.
The proceeds for those Pride shirts are still going to Nate's surgery fund. Nate, who is in the chat, we thank you once again.
Yeah, you guys rocked it.
Broken record. You've been killing it out there with supporting the cause. We thank you for that. But June is still young, so get those merch sales in and contribute to a great fundraiser.
Yes, thank you guys so much for that. Appreciate everything, all the support, and love you guys do with the podcast each and every single week. Again, we strive to be your number one fan podcast out there on the market today, giving you guys our honest opinions on the product of AEW. But that's going to wrap it up today, guys. A little bit of a short show, just due some time constraints. But we'll be back again every Thursday night here live on Twitch for the next episode of Elite POV. And remember, folks, actually, you know what? Let Jacky did it right last week. I'm going to let her do it. So, Jacky, sign us off.
And remember, you don't need a hat to be a cowboy. See you next week.